The Pittsburgh Steelers are doing something different that they haven't done in 8 seasons. So, there have been so many changes throughout the last few years with the Steelers, from new general manager to new coaches in the building. What does that mean? Well, that means that they do stuff differently and each personnel is different, meaning that the Steelers are making changes to their off-season plans. For the first time in 8 seasons, training camp preparations for the Steelers will include a joint practice. It won't take place in Latrobe, but it will take place at Acrisure Stadium. They'll hold a joint practice on August 15th with the Buffalo Bills. So, just in case if you don't know, August 9th is the Pittsburgh Steelers' first preseason game. So this joint practice with the Bills is on August 15th. So it's in the second week of the preseason. And the second game of the preseason is August 17th against the Buffalo Bills. So this joint practice will come 2 days before the teams actually meet in a live preseason game. So it's just getting more practice together with a team before the actual game happens. So that practice has already been listed as being closed to the fans as well, meaning that no one will be able to watch. Probably just the media members will be in the building, and the coaches obviously, and the players. No fans will be allowed in to watch the practice, but the Steelers and the Bills will work out together to get more reps in on the football and practice field. So with this joint practice, there has been discussion around the NFL lately about the pros and cons of doing this. I'll get more into it after, but over the recent years, there has been fights that breaks out. For example, the Aaron Donald one where he takes off the person's helmet and tries smacking him with it. There's also been other ones of having to have players removed from the practice field or the workout because of bad behavior and stuff like that. So there has been pros and cons that have gone on with this, but for whatever reason, the Steelers have been one of the few teams kind of not to dabble in these joint practices in recent years. In recent years, actually 8 seasons. General Manager Omar Khan has said they don't feel it's necessary to have these joint practices or to have these extra workouts because of how physical their practice are and how they feel as though their own 90 players make it tough on each other. But it could also be a factor that they're one of the only teams in the NFL that still hold out of town training camp, meaning that to have this joint practice, that means that if it go back to Acrisure Stadium to actually have the joint practice, it's not that far, but obviously they usually have training camp in Latrobe, so now in this joint practice, it'll take place in Acrisure Stadium. So the Steelers have been not a team to do this in the past, but this season, I guess the Steelers, their playoff drought, it kind of drags on, and perhaps they're trying to take a new perspective, and with the new people in the building in terms of coaches, new players in the building again this season, and also just a new general manager in a second season, maybe they're just doing stuff differently. Maybe with Kevin Colbert, that was kind of his thing, not to doing these joint practices, but now since Omar Khan has took over in his second season, he has now done a joint practice. So maybe it's something different, a new perspective that's being brought to this process, this off-season process. Also, something new the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing that they really haven't done is they hired a new strength and conditioning staff this offseason. They're practicing earlier in the day for much of training camp. The practice is around 1 p.m., but now if you look at their schedule, their practices are around 10:30 a.m. So their practices are being taken place much earlier, and maybe this has to do with the new strength and conditioning coaches. Maybe the strength and conditioning coaches and that kind of program, maybe they recommended having more training, more reps having done to have their players better ready and more conditioned. Who knows? Maybe new things are being taken place and put in perspective, put in place to have the Steelers team ready, and maybe the front office has a new senior personnel assistant in Quinn Harris. Maybe he's someone who's kind of taking a place in this director role. Who knows? But they're doing stuff differently this year that they haven't done in a long time. So now getting back into it about the actual practice and the pros and cons about it from my perspective. For what it's worth, There's been no scuffles when the Steelers and the Lions got together for the first time in 2016. That was the last time the Steelers have done this. So in 2016, there was no scuffles and things like that. But they actually had a second joint practice the day before their final preseason matchup as well. But this season, the Steelers are hosting the Bills. The Bills are coming to Acrisure Stadium to have a joint practice. And one of the reasons why maybe the Steelers made an exception for the Bills is because it's coached by Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and obviously the Bills are coached by Sean McDermott. And if you know those two, they have a history. They went to Mary College and they were teammates there. So they have that perspective. They have the same kind of personality kind of traits as a coach, and also they're friends. They've went to school together, they played together, so they've been around each other. And if they're coaching teams, maybe they feel more comfortable that if those two are coaching the separate ends of the teams, then no scuffles are going to break out, and maybe they trust that nothing bad is going to happen, nothing bad is going to go wrong in these practices, and it's going to be smoothly. Maybe that's why the Steelers have decided to bring the Bills in, because of how close Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott were and are. So maybe that's the reason. But at the same time, when you just look at last season, when the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers faced, there was a scuffle that broke out on the sideline, if you remember, because of the late hit that took place on Kenny Pickett, and then Kenny Pickett getting up, getting in the face of the defender, and then the defender getting in the face of Kenny Pickett, and then the Steelers offense line defending Kenny Pickett, and then the scuffle broke out on the sideline. So last season, something did happen between these two teams. I'm sure that's not going to have any type of carryover towards it, but who knows? Maybe there is still some bad blood between some players. I know James Daniels was in the mix of it. Maybe there's still some bad blood between a Bills defensive lineman and James Daniels. Who knows? But until it happens, we really don't know. Between maybe a player seeks revenge, maybe they do a late hit, maybe they get into a scuffle again based off what happened last time. You never know, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Something else that already happened between these two teams is the Steelers got eliminated from the playoffs by the Buffalo Bills. So maybe there's bad blood there. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. But the Steelers feel more confident bringing in the Bills because of their coach. That's what I believe. So the pros and cons of this, when you look at it, obviously the cons are obviously out there. Because it's different teams, because it's so early, because the reps are still being have, players are going all out, meaning that maybe the hits that you wouldn't make on your own teammates, these hits will be made by defenders from the opposite team when facing one-on-ones. Obviously, you want to show up more in a one-on-one aspect against different teams, so you're going all out. Also, some of the cons of this are obviously scuffles are to be had, because this is the first real competition that you're having with a different person in front of you. Having this training going on with your own teammates, you're not really getting in your teammates' face as much. Fights are going to break out. You're used to your teammates, so you're around them more, so your temper won't get lost as much. But if you keep nagging someone on from a different team, someone that you don't know, maybe that's why fights end up breaking out. But at the end of the day, it's just football. It's football at the end of the day. Stuff like this happens, but obviously those are the cons of these workouts. The pros of it are obviously there as well, because you could have more practice in, more reps in against players that you don't really are used to. For a whole month, you're basically in training camp against your own teammates and practicing against your own teammates. Yes, you have preseason, but having these one-on-one drills against players that you're not really used to, it could make you better, because you don't know their tendencies, so you're really learning on the fly there quickly. And obviously, you got to go through team drills as well, team offense against a team defense, with no idea what the opposite team is going to run, and you're not really used to it. So obviously, there's pros in that aspect as well, just making each other better day after day. So those are the pros, those are the cons. Anyway, that's basically the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the Pittsburgh Steelers holding a joint practice. Why do you think they're doing this for the first time in 8 seasons? For me personally, just looking at the reason why they switched their practices to 10:30 a.m. instead of having it at 1 p.m., Mike Tomlin said in the past in his interview that he just wanted to give them more time to interact with fans post-practice, while at the same time taking care of their bodies and rehydrating and having an appetite for dinner. So that's why he said they moved the practice to 10:30 instead of 1 p.m. So why do you think they moved or they switched it and had a joint practice of the season after not having it for 8 seasons? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Training camp is right around the corner, 9 days away? And just know when training camp does roll along, there's going to be highlights to be seen and analysis to be had. I'm covering it all. Just like I've covered all the new players we got this offseason with new introductions done with them on the channel and kind of giving you the introduction to them. If you want to go check it out, every new player we got in, an intro is on the channel, from draftees, from undrafted to free agents, all of it. Also, I cover everything, news, updates, everything like that. So if you want to listen to Pittsburgh Steelers news and not have to read it, this is the spot for you. So with that being said, make sure you comment on this video, give me your thoughts about it, and also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.